It's Joe Dales from RH Accelerator, and today we're going to give a little presentation on public relations planning. So this is a presentation that we gave earlier today to our virtual community, and thought we'd give it again and try to record it. So public relations planning takes a little bit of organization strategically, and we'll go through a few slides and talk about the process that we've followed and find to be successful. So really you need to start out with, what are your hard objectives? In our case, we're going to talk a little bit about RH Accelerator as an example, and hopefully you can use it in your own startups. So we want to increase the awareness of our corporate brand, and then also increase the awareness of the companies that we've invested in with their stakeholder audiences. I usually like to put numbers on here because if you're only going to go after 10 people, it's a lot different than if you're going after 10 million people. So the scale and scope is important for you to try to define the best you can. And really, our other objective is in the more medium to long term is to build demand for our RH Accelerator investments. We want to bring in new companies that want to join our ecosystem. We want to bring in other stakeholders like investors and mentors. So creating awareness and building demand are the objectives of this PR campaign. So it's also important to really focus in on your target audiences. So we want to invest in early stage, startup and scale up innovative companies, starting in the London region, and then agri-food tech companies across Canada. So that's our target area for the company side. And then we want to work on attracting investors, mentors, sponsors in the London, Ontario region, and then agri-food stakeholders in those same groups, across Canada. Over time, we may expand it from this geography, but I think it's important to really try to define your target audiences and where they are and focus on that versus being spread too thin until you have budgets and scale that can allow you to go further than those target markets. Then the next thing, you want to keep your brand and positioning the same as your marketing materials. So in our case, for RH Accelerator, we invest in early stage companies. We try to get them in post-revenue, and we make a small investment in them. So that's our rational positioning. And then our emotional is we're founders helping founders. We want them to be successful. We know how hard it is, so we expand out your team to help you through this hard time. And so we use our logo imagery and imagery of people, team, founders, successes. And then we also brand, the companies that we've made investments in. So companies like Factory Bucket and Curling Zone and so on, and those people. So want to be consistent with the positioning, even though you're using, public relations. So it's also important to try to come up with newsworthy content for the media to pick up. Why should people care? Why should media pick your story up? Why is it interesting? So in news releases as well, photos and videos, doing the work for the media, I think is important. You can cover off product launches and people stories. Customer successes and testimonials are always exciting. And then, for corporate results, public companies do a good job of their investor relations. So there's a whole wide range of potential topics that you can come up with. You just need to come up with what will catch people's eye and hopefully get some things going viral for you. So that's when you're ready to go. So the other piece of the puzzle is understanding the media, building relationships, getting to know the media folks, whether they're websites or print or television or radio. We have often prepared lists for all the different media. It's important to build relationships. People trust when you provide them a story. It's important to invest the time to get to know these folks. You also want to do the work for the media, especially these days when it's so difficult. The media are under pressure to push out stories. And so if you send them a well-written story with lots of info, photos, digital assets, it'll save them time, and then they can craft it into something they can use either on their magazines or on their websites or on their TV shows. Make the content interesting for their audience. They want good stories. They want things that their audience will appreciate. And then, it's also important to measure the performance. When you do send these things out, how many times was it picked up? Understanding the metrics, and that'll help you decide whether it's been successful or not. Most companies now have invested heavily in social media and their own digital strategy. And so you can stimulate some of the public relations using some of your own tools. So we encourage people to keep your website updated. That'll help with SEO. Use landing pages. The content, the more current content you post and the more that it's picked up, that's great for building your search engine optimization. And then using the social media platforms that work well for your business. Consumer and influencer marketing works well on Instagram. In our sector, Twitter works very well with in the agriculture and food sector. So we've had a lot of success with Twitter. Facebook is a challenge sometimes, unless you get a great following. But you can do a good job with, paying for some of your eyeballs on things like Facebook. We've also had a lot of success using YouTube. It's the second largest search engine after Google, and people love watching videos. And then from a corporate perspective, we've had a lot of success using LinkedIn. So encourage you to make sure once you've sent out a news release or a public relations campaign, that you use your own tools to amplify the message. Now, it's also important to have a good team focused on public relations. So, assign responsibilities, put a person in charge, put timelines and planning, delegate the tasks, all the steps. Try to learn and develop your capabilities. It's not just a small tactic, it's an important part of your marketing strategy, and track the performance metrics. Do more of what's working and less of what's not generating real results for you. And it's important to track this, and the people thing is really a critical issue here. Just putting a junior person on it and walking away doesn't normally work. So we really try to and suggest that you track and train on your public relations as well. I've also put in budgets. I think it's important. Time is money, and so everybody thinks PR is free. It's not. You have to work it. I think it's important to put budgets on time as well, and then measure the performance, the metrics, the visits, the clicks, the views, and really focus on the high return on investment tactics. We really have found that sometimes investing more time in things will result in greater results, but a lot of times, you just want to do a good job and follow a process and minimize the amount of investment, because sometimes not everything goes viral or gets picked up. And those are some of the tricks that we've used. We've had some great successes using public relations. We've gotten picked up recently some podcasts, and encourage people to reach out to us on RHA online, and follow us on all our social media. Talk to you soon. Thank you.